So you guys were just talking about people who eat shit?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So, okay, we got Bob Scheuneman here, Marquise is here, and you were going down memory lane of cleaning shit out of people's mouths, and so they would get addicted to eating their own shit? Like,
No. This is not an addiction story. This was back, I was even younger than you guys are. I was working in a nursing home, and I was on the unit that required lots of care. And this is before I was a nurse. There were some patients there that were so demented that they didn't know what they were doing. And I remember this one little old lady. She was sweet as she could be, but and she had that kind of
old Shirley eating her shit again.
Her name was Mildred, actually.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! It was old school.
Who names their kid Mildred? Like,
well, when you were born in like 1870, that's
there's nothing attractive about that name. It's just kind of
back in the day. It was a cool name because she was probably born in like not 1870, but
Mildred
about 1890.
It sounds like a kind of mold.
That's crazy.
But anyway, so
she had this like sort of like rabbit pellet shit. And she was incontinent, so she would shit herself, but then she would grab a handful of the shit and little pellets and eat it like M&Ms.
Did she know that she was eating shit?
No, she didn't think it was shit.
Did she ever like offer it to other people as like a
she
snack?
Was just babbling away incoherently. But part of my job was to obviously keep her cleaned up, but then also if she was eating her shit, I would have to clean her mouth out and stop her from eating her shit. But the problem was that she thought it was fun and she liked it, and so she would fight me when I was trying to clean her up.
See, she would be an amazing guest for the podcast. Like you have your own experiences, but I don't think you could ever hold a candle to a lady who eats her own shit as a snack.
Well, I think it would be a challenging podcast guest, but your point is well taken.
It would also be a great. Can you imagine that being like your mom? She's your parent. She's like, all right, now we're going to get you off to your first day at school. I packed you your shit lunchbox. And
she didn't know it was shit. She wouldn't knowingly do that. So it's sad but funny. Anyway.
Well, I mean,
we were just talking about,
you know what they say,
stories.
Don't take shit from anybody.
Exactly. Or yourself. Maybe that's a good, I don't know. I'm sure there's probably all kinds of sayings that could come from that, but.
From what? Eating shit?
What's the new one? A bee doesn't waste his time trying to teach a fly that honey is better than shit or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think that one's gonna stick. But
it's
have you heard about the new Balenciaga shoes that they just released?
No, but I think Balenciagas, some of them are weird as fuck. I ain't even gonna lie.
They really do. They go out there for their designs. I like most of them. They had to grow on me, but no, these new ones are.
I need some new shoes.
Well, I don't think you would really like these shoes. They're okay, so it's like $1,600, and you're paying for shoes that. How do I explain this? They look like shoes that you paid a homeless guy to live in for a couple years. Like they're torn the fuck up. Like there's a pair that looks like low top Converse.
I was about to say, what's the
back
Converse one?
of them, like the whole heel is like ripped off. So they're almost like slipper shoes. Like your ankle and heel would be exposed wearing these shoes.
$1,600?
Yeah.
You see that guy that started like taking Vans and he would make them into slippers? He would cut the backs off. He got viral for doing
I've
that.
never seen those, but like, dude, I'm telling you, these shoes are the most like de-stressed, torn up, like fashion clothes I've ever seen. Like it's almost like a joke, like how torn up they are, and some of them don't even look like wearable. It looks like they would fall apart as you wear them. And there's this one pair that has like all these holes in them and rips, and then Balenciaga is like written on the side of them, how they do sometimes, like on the gum of it, but the letters are like
with a Sharpie.
Yeah, but they're like smeared, so you can't even barely read it.
So you have to know how cool it is to have these trashed out, destroyed shoes that somebody paid $1,600 for, that they stole off a homeless person.
I mean, I'm not kidding. They do genuinely look like the shoes of a homeless person, like somebody struggling. And so the thing is, I read the headline and saw the shoes and how fucked up looking they were, like, and I think, hey, it's cool, do what you want to do. Like, I'm not trying to hate on it, but I do think it's insane. And then I read more into it, and apparently those are like a part of a limited release. Like the more torn up, like completely distressed ones, like the ones that really look like they were dragged through the mud and like worn for years without ever being taken off. So the more fucked up ones are limited quantity and they're more expensive than their other shoes that they're releasing at the same time that are a little less distressed. So there's a bunch of shoes they're releasing that are lightly distressed, and then to get the headline, they release these other shoes in limited quantities that are super fucked up and for double the price. And people see that shit, and I mean, maybe they think it's cool, but I think they did that to like get people's attention. Like, how dare they release?
So it's like taking a brand new pair of shoes, going out there, dirtying them up and tearing them up, and now they're worth more.
Kind of, but I'm just imagining what the manufacturing process of shoes like that would be like.
Well, take them outside and just throw them around, beat them up.
But,
literally,
that sounds like that's easy.
Yeah, but
when you guys, distress your product, it's very thought out and it's meticulous and it's tedious, actually.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, like, is there a team of people who beat these shoes up, or is it like the CEO of Balenciaga himself? Is he making sure they?
Probably not.
I mean, yeah, I would doubt it, but
or is it just a robot laser cutting?
It can't be, dude, because these shoes are like, they look like dirty. They have holes in them and rips. They can't be all the same. Like, I'm sure when you buy one pair, it's going to look completely different from the others. Because I wish I could pull a picture up and show you. Like, these shoes are so obliterated. Just Google it, though. Like, people listening, just Google ultra distressed Balenciaga shoes and they'll pop up. It's pretty insane. But yeah, like what you were saying with how we distress our jackets and how they must do these shoes, it's pretty crazy what like companies will do to get a certain look. Like, I always thought, they've got to have like machines that somehow articulate the distressing so they don't have to do it, but a lot of them are done like handmade, and they just go down the line doing them one by one. Like,
well, you know how much time it takes to distress a jacket the way that we do it, and it is literally takes 3 people to do it, and it's all handmade. And how long did it take to find that final style that the end product matched the vision?
Yeah, like it's a lot of like figuring out how you want to place things, and it takes a lot more time and effort than you would ever think goes into this stuff. Like, when you see splatter paint on jeans or something like that, it's usually people actually are going in and painting them themselves and like making it that way. They're not getting some machine to just print on these splatters, which I didn't know. I thought that was just done easily, but these people are like really splattering on paint on the pants. But it makes me think of Amiri did that with one of their first drops. They released a T-shirt that had these like little tiny holes, and it was like a distressed shirt. But what they did was they actually took out the T-shirt into the woods and hung it up, and then shot it with a shotgun that had bird shot. So you're buying shirts that have been shot with a shotgun by Amiri, and that's one of my favorite examples of that. I would love to think of some, like, what if you like ran over some jeans or something? I don't know. Like, I want to do something like that.
Like the tire marks, that would be like, people probably would like.
Well, you know how long it takes to make the distressed leather jackets look distressed and not just cut.
Yeah, no, I think
And how long did it take us to find the right tool to use for that? And
I mean, you helped a lot with like finding the tool that would make it look not like a razor slash, but more like an actual rip. So appreciate that. But yeah, no, it took a lot of time, and I think we've brought this up on the podcast before, but the first time we got these jackets, when we were thinking, oh, the manufacturer will do the distressing for us, we'll just tell them how we want it to look. But then they send us back these jackets, and it just looks like a line straight cut through the jacket, and it just looked shitty. It was like flapping all around, and like you could hook your finger and just rip it, and it didn't have any like
it was a clean cut as opposed to like, you know, the sort of distressed and worn edges. So
so I don't know. Have we brought up the fact that this is like the 16th time that we've tried to film this godforsaken podcast?
No, I think we agree.
Not on this time. Well, I can't pretend, but yeah, no, we've attempted time and time again to do the same episode. All because like all of these stresses are being compounded by this one camera that we're adding to the room. We're adding the video quality to the podcast, and it's just way harder than you would think. Or maybe we're just stupid, but the phone keeps dying. I keep running out of space. At one point, I just got sick. So there are things that we've talked about already a few times.
Like 13 or 14.
Yeah. It's I'm trying to work them in casually, but I've got this little crackhead notepad to interview Bob with, and sorry, not to be all over the place, but would you ever wear those Balenciaga shoes, like a completely torn up, distressed shoe? Is that your thing? No,
I don't know. I honestly don't think I would. Honestly, I like I like most of them, but when they go all out, some of them is just too much to me.
I mean, they're $1,600. Like you'd have to be ultra rich to just buy something that could literally fall apart after the second time wearing it. But
I feel like you can make them cool, yeah, and people who do actually have like style with them, you know, it can make them pop. But me personally, I don't think I could make it pop. And I'm not a big Converse kind of guy. I mean, like I've had a few pairs, but
yeah, I was just curious what you would think about that. I already know you would hate the idea of a completely destroyed shoe, but I also wanted to ask you some questions about some hijinks at work. Like you used to work with a lot of like crazy people and drug addicts and just people really struggling in their own heads, but used to always come home at dinner and tell us like crazy stories about what would happen that day. So I was wondering if you had any examples of, like have you ever found somebody like smuggling in like a bunch of drugs for their stay at the hospital, or
funny you should ask.
Like a butthole full of Vicodin or something?
Gosh.
Well, back in the day, psychiatric nurse, and I worked on an inpatient unit, and so worked there for many, many, many years, and you get to see a whole lot of things. When people come to the psych unit, like anytime you're going to the hospital, or most times when you go, if you know you're going to go, you pack a little bag of stuff to take with you, a couple, shirts and pants and clothes.
A spoon and a lighter and syringes.
Sometimes people try to bring all those things. And if you're a smoker, of course, you're always going to bring a lighter and stuff, but that's one of the first things that we grab, because we go through all your clothes and stuff when you come in. This one time, we had, let's see, how can I say this? I was checking in this person's stuff, and they came in with a little mini suitcase. I open it up, and back in the day, before you had individualized doses in the hospital, medicine would be individually wrapped, but it would come on like a wheel, where it'd be like 100 doses of a particular medication, all in like a line.
Yeah,
and you would just cut where the
Like prescription drugs in bulk.
yeah, exactly. And this one guy came in. He was a pharmacist, and he had a whole roll of Tylenol 3. That's Tylenol with codeine, but it was like 100 tablets.
Classy.
And yeah, we confiscated that, and he didn't let him keep that.
Wait, so he was coming in with that, right?
Yeah, he brought it in. He thought he was going to. I don't know what he was thinking.
Was it just in his like overnight bag?
Yeah,
Like just
it was
here are
in
my
his-
T-shirts. Here's my
wheel
300
of
Tylenols.
codeine.
Gee, wait, so don't you have to like have connections in the hospital to be able to
Yeah,
get that?
he stole it.
Oh, okay. So how long had he been there, like, to do that? He must have been pretty quick. Like,
Well, he was a pharmacist, so it was from where he worked. He took it.
okay. I missed that part.
Yeah.
But like, what are the lengths that some people would go to stash some stuff? Because that's just like an idiot trying to get away easy.
He wasn't an idiot. He was just an addict, and he just had to take it. And he was psychotic, so he wasn't thinking.
Even
clearly.
an addict could be smart and be like, all right, I'm not going to put this right where they're going to look. when I'm
Exactly,
going in for
and people
treatment.
try and sneak it in, and they're all different kinds of ways. You know, you just like prison.
Okay.
Anyone asked you like to help them out in any way, or like?
Oh no!
No.
Oh hell no!
No.
No, because and what's funny is you'll crack up about this. I would have patients in the hospital who would just if they would hear me say cuss at all, it would just totally freak them out because they thought I was like Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, right. You were just acting as though you did everything by the books, which, I mean, you got awards at your job, so you can't act like you weren't asking for it with all your good behavior, I suppose.
Well, I mean, I liked what I did. I loved what I did. So I tried to be as good as I could. But talk about bringing stuff in. One time, this only happened once in my whole career there, but this blew my mind. So it was another one as I was checking somebody's bag in, and I opened it up, and there was a loaded 357 Magnum. Yes.
Jesus.
I
Better not try me in here.
I about shit.
Shit.
And it was loaded too.
Yeah, that would have caused some problems in the wing, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it probably could have. It caused some problems as is because it never should have gotten that far.
He was feeling lucky.
Yeah. But when you were talking about people going to lengths to do stuff, I mean, sadly, most people who come to the hospital are coming because they're suicidal.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we can have some funny stories, but that's serious business, and never make light of that.
Yeah.
But people go to great lengths. I remember there was this one patient who was extremely suicidal and really sick and incredibly smart. And she smuggled in pieces of a razor blade inside her watch. So if you took her watch apart, you could find these pieces of razor blade. Well, we don't take watches apart.
Yeah.
But she being as smart as she was, and she'd been in the hospital a lot of times, she knew we wouldn't take her watch apart, so she smuggled in razor blades.
No metal detectors?
No.
And on a watch, it's gonna go off anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And we didn't use metal detectors back then.
Do you think she got, like, dragged into the hospital well, she would have had to expect it because she stashed it in her watch.
She knew she was coming in, and
My question is, like, what was that for her protection, or was she, like, planning, I want to kill myself in the hospital? Because, like,
it was not for her
not to be,
protection.
well, yeah, not to be dark, but, like, why would you stash it on your way to the hospital? Why wouldn't you just kill yourself before even going to the hospital?
Well, because people don't
brain.
always use logic
Yeah.
when they come to the hospital. And sometimes people are fragmented and certain parts of them are not aware of what other parts of them are doing. So
It's just nuts to me. Like, wasn't there speaking of suicidal people, wasn't there a time where you were, like, involved in some sort of like huge fire in the hospital that shut down the whole wing? And
that was pretty crazy. It was actually I was transferred from the inpatient unit and was helping to open up an outpatient unit, and so it was my last day working inpatient. And a woman was trying to kill herself, and she had smuggled in a lighter and caught her room on fire, and the fire got out of control.
It's crazy.
And they sent Fire Marshal Bob in to shut shit
Well, one of
down.
the other nurses, I was in a room interviewing a patient, and she came running in and said, "Come quick now!" And the whole room was on fire.
That's wild, man.
Did you have to like and how long would you say you were like in the room when it was on fire? Like, because I'm sure it was hard to get her out of there. And
another nurse was working with her, trying to get her out in the middle of this fire. But I never. I mean, obviously, you understand how people die in fires, but I always thought, okay, a room's on fire. It's hot, and you don't want to get too close to it.
Of course.
That's not what kills you, or that's not the hardest part to deal with it. And I can't describe how intense it is. But this woman's lying on her bed. There's flames all around. This other nurse is trying to get her out of the bed and out of the room. I walk inside there. Immediately, you can't breathe because there's no oxygen in the room to breathe.
Can't you not even see because it's so smoky?
It wasn't really smoky. It gets smoky, but at this point, it wasn't smoky. It was just, I can picture it right now. It's just, the room is full of flames. And you just go on autopilot. But I remember as soon as I set foot in the room, I couldn't breathe. And so I just ran to the bed and helped this nurse, and we pulled her out. But she's fighting all the way, it was a mess. Yeah, the fire department came. It was a big deal.
So after you go through something like that at work, are you like waking up for like days and like, okay, so when you start your day at work, like do you start thinking like, oh, am I going to have to just be thrown into some crazy situation out of nowhere? Or do you kind of just put that kind of stuff to the back of your head and try and think, oh, it's going to be kind of a regular day to day? Like, it must fuck with like how you think of going to work if you think stuff like that's going to just pop off at any moment.
Well, it's different for everybody. I mean, and you see that happen with anybody in helping professions where they can get burned out because how challenging and how difficult and how.
In your situation, literally burned out.
Well, yeah, that's not the kind of burned out I meant. But you see people who can't, or staff who can only do it for a certain amount of time, then have to leave because they can't do it well anymore. And not that I was any great person or anything, but that was just my thing. It never bothered me.
I mean, at least in some ways, it's a lot better than having just some boring desk job. Like, at least with that kind of stuff, like, you have some excitement to your day. Like, you don't, not every day is the same. It's not monotonous. Like, some days you got to save a cat from a tree or something.
Yeah, but almost, if you really try hard, you can make almost any job like that. If you have passion about what you do and want to get better at doing it, then it's exciting to try to do better. You guys are in the midst of always trying to, how can we make better clothes? How can this vision I have in my head come to fruition in the clothes that we design? How do we, promote our clothes? So you're always thinking and trying to get better at it.
I mean, we got the video here because I've been thinking a lot about how to like improve this show. I mean, it started as something that I wanted to just be like laid back and you can stumble upon the show and enjoy it if you want to, but I didn't want to like make it this huge thing. Like, I just enjoy doing it, so I wanted to do it. And now after I've done it for a little bit, I've just wanted to start, I don't know, climbing a figurative ladder and trying to like improve it and build upon what we have. And so now you can see us and all of our beauty if the fucking phone doesn't die for the 90th time. I'm trying to not like be thrown off by the fact I'm worried about hearing that beep any second, but
Or however it goes.
and yeah, people don't really they don't understand what to expect going into the nursing job or that field. Like, I've had friends who like started in like dentistry or something, and they'll start like going to school for that and trying to learn how to be a dentist, and then they're like, oh well, this doesn't seem like it's right for me because it's gross. Like, I don't like working with people's mouths or their teeth. So I don't know, I think I'll go into something less gross, maybe nursing. And I have to be like, listen, like, when you're a nurse, you have to go through, not only are you working insane hours and insane weeks, like, you're also going to be dealing with all kinds of disgusting problems and stressful problems. Like, it's not just, oh, here's your Band-Aid. Is there anything else you need, doctor? Like,
It's not like it is on TV. And when people would come to me and say, hey, I'm thinking about being a nurse, you know what I would tell them 100% of the time? It's a great job. You can make decent money, but it's not for everybody. And what I would say to them, and what I would say to folks now who would ask me about it, is go get a job on an inpatient unit in a nursing home, in a hospital. Doesn't matter what you're doing, but be around what nurses do and work there for 6 months or a year, and then see if you still want to be a nurse, because you'll get to know exactly what that kind of work is like. Now, obviously, it's different for everyone, but
yeah, you seem like you really set yourself up with doing that, especially like you said you were younger than us, and you're gonna be 22 this year, right?
July,
yeah, well, 22, yeah.
well, I wasn't a nurse until I was in my mid-30s,
but you were around, like you like
yeah,
you explained,
early, and then I
then
left.
even your previous story talking about
The candy eater.
Yeah, the candy eater.
Well, so was that on this time, or was that on
that was
the
you said younger
50th time, or which time do? Oh yeah, we did talk about the shit eating on this podcast.
Yeah, it was just
okay.
Yeah, that's how we started
mending together. But what show or movie would you say depicts nursing in the most accurate way? Like,
I don't even watch those shows.
I mean, there's Nurse Jackie. There's
Nurse
Grey's
Jackie.
Anatomy.
I've never seen Grey's Anatomy. Nurse Jackie. There are parts of that are real. They make it a lot more fun sounding with Nurse Jackie. But there are parts of it that was accurate. It's a busy, high-stress job. You're and you're not allowed to make mistakes. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, of course, but
the stakes are just super high when it comes to that. Cause
you're giving people medicine, and if you screw up, you can kill people.
Were you?
Ooh,
so
that's scary to think about.
It's doctors that prescribe medications, right? Like
and nurse practitioners.
Okay, I was wondering, like, did you have to deal with any of that, like, opioid crisis drama? Like, did you ever feel like you were getting pressure to prescribe certain kinds of drugs, but then you don't prescribe them? So, but I just know all that, like, crazy shit was going on around the same time that you were in the hospital. So I wasn't sure if you saw, like...
It's still going on. The opioid crisis is ongoing and worse. With any kind of treatment that doesn't work well, when you're trying to do something, trying to help a person get better, and you're not very good at it, that leads to all kinds of discussion and arguments and frustration, and this way is better than that way and stuff. So, there's all kinds of, and that's part of what people get burned out on too, is you do your best trying to treat people, and you see them not get better, or you see them come back in the hospital for the very same thing that you were treating them for 2 weeks ago. And people, staff gets discouraged, and it's like, to heck with this. And I never really got that way.
You didn't like having to deal with assholes working alongside you. Like
Well,
shitty higher ups is really what seemed to tick you off.
yeah,
What was the worst like time period that you like when it comes to just volume of people coming into the hospital, or just like, people, like, when did you see the most people just come in fucked up from drugs, and like what kind of drug was it? Like, what was the worst wave that you saw? And
oh gosh. Well, it's not even like a wave. It's just a constant of addiction. I mean, psychiatric units were supposed to be treating psychiatric illnesses, but what happens is you end up treating tons of addiction, and that you could do 100 podcasts on addiction and how people end up in the hospital. But it gets frustrating to not be able to have the best tool for the job. A mental health psychiatric unit is not the best tool for treating addiction, period.
what do you think is?
An addiction center.
So there's not like a time that was worse than others. Like,
It's just gotten continuously worse. I mean, and I don't know that if it's because of where our hospital was located, but
you were kind of in the inner city.
yeah, we're an urban hospital for sure.
I'm just wondering, because with like how crazy things are in the world right now, like, would you just see it happening more and more and more, like with all the other problems, or was there a certain thing that happened that brought in more people and caused more drug abuse, or I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's a complicated problem. But at the end of the day, you're treating one person at a time. It doesn't matter if there are 50 million opiate addicts. If you're treating Joe or Sue or whoever it is, it doesn't matter what's happening outside. It matters what's happening with that person.
But there's like things that could go on in their lives that are happening because of issues going on in the world.
Well,
you go broke with these fucking gas prices, and then you're sad and want to do some crack because you're sad.
Now you blow up every gas station in sight.
Sure. I mean, I think
I almost drove off with the pump the other day.
I mean, for opiates, for example, they change how you feel. And the reality is, if you take an opiate, you're going to feel pretty darn good.
And then there's some people who literally take an opiate and feel really terrible. Like, I've heard stories of people who just, their chemistry doesn't mix well with the drug, and they will prefer the pain of whatever they're taking it for.
And there's always going to be exceptions. So if just for the sake of discussion, we sort of put the exceptions aside and acknowledge that they exist, but recognize it's not the norm. For most people, the vast majority, if you take an opiate, you're going to feel good. The problem is that if you continually use them, you will become dependent on them.
So are opiates the most common drug you would see people come in for, or because I know you've talked about how like bad you saw people react to bath salts, but I'm and other drugs like that, but I'm guessing that wasn't as common as like opiates. Is opiates the most common person that
it
you
would depend on the time, but in general, opiates, and then crack and meth would be popular depending on it would go in waves, but mostly opiates.
And it just reminded me, I do kind of want to. Sorry, what?
No, you keep going.
I was just gonna say I do kind of want to talk about bath salts, because that was always intriguing to me. Because number one, I'm pretty sure it's a drug that started out like legal technically, like you could buy it at a gas station.
Well, yeah, it was.
But like you hear those stories of people eating other people's faces off and like just going batshit insane.
Yeah.
Like,
here's why I hate bath salts so much. is that people's response to them is so unpredictable. And so
Do you smoke bath salts? How do
Yeah.
you do bath salts?
I don't do bath salts. Yeah, you smoke it
Sit
or
and lather in it. Gets in my street.
yeah, could you
or
get
you
high
snort
from
it.
bath salts? Like,
Well, that's
taking
what it
a
was
bath?
used.
No, it's not that kind of bath
No,
salts.
I know. It's just,
You're messing with me.
but
The bad part about bath salts to me is that
He said it's not that kind.
a person can do it 50 times and, have the high and not really have a problem. That 51st time they do it, they become psychotic. And when bath salts were popular, we would have people in the hospital so psychotic from bath salts, and we couldn't get them better.
that's like so scary to me. Like, can you
It
imagine?
should be
just
scary
being-
because it ruins their freaking life.
like, what's it like thinking like an insane person? Like having
Well, they would
real insane thoughts. Like
they would be paranoid.
there's
They
white
would be
cars that keep following
Yeah.
me. They're trying to put me into the van and take me to the government. Like,
they'd be delusional about things, and we would give them high doses of antipsychotics, and it would do basically nothing. They didn't get better.
are they pretty much like drugging themselves into dementia? Like,
Well, it's not dementia; it's something else. I don't know what the chemistry is behind it. I'm just describing the symptoms. Now, that could happen the very first time someone does it. It's so it sounds like scare tactics, but I'm just telling you what I saw. Kids that had successful jobs, they were in college or they were working, and just regular great people. They were out looking to have a good time. They took bath salts, and it messed their brain up so bad it literally ruined their life to where they had to be taken care of the rest of their life.
you know what's getting popular now?
No.
Which is kind of freaky. I've seen people I know start getting into it, and I really don't understand it. It's what's it called? Nitrous?
Whippets?
Whippets? I'm not.
That's
It's
old
CO2.
fashioned.
Yeah, that's like
Canister.
in now, or it's not like in, but I've seen it be like. I've seen people around me start getting into it, and
Yeah, inhalants
it started
have been around
popping up
forever.
at parties and shit.
Yeah,
And
Literally, I've talked to people that have done it, and they literally say when they do it and they get the high, it's literally just your head going whoa, 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 whoa.
yeah, there's certain drugs that just don't sound.
Like, why would you want to do that again if your head's just constantly
inhalants
whoa,
are
whoa,
bad
whoa?
because they destroy brain cells and
Yeah, you kind of just go dumb, right? Like,
well, and you can get really bad headaches from it. It damages.
damn, it's like, oh yeah, alcohol is bad because it can kill you and shut down your liver, and you're like, whippets are bad because you can get headaches.
I mean, it is the same concept because we all know that
And it kills
alcohol and
brain
cigarettes.
cells.
No, yeah, and
It's there's other ways to feel good in life besides getting high on
Like
on
getting in that
drugs.
Porsche. And you know,
yeah, they came up and
doing
you're in your
doing
Porsche.
things that you're passionate about. Yeah,
yeah.
You're a skateboarder.
Yeah, yeah. Well, even that, video games, it's just,
Yeah.
Next time you think
Drawing.
about doing heroin or smoking crack, just come and listen to the Scheuneman podcast instead.
Well, and it's
It's just the world is so dark. You can get it down a rabbit hole
yeah,
where
you
you
can fall
start
in a dark
thinking
hole,
like,
like
And-
that.
oh, there is no pleasure in this world. I need to.
right, and it's not a matter of just saying, oh, stop being a heroin addict, go take up skateboarding or go paint a picture. Of course not. That's
It's about your
simplistic
way of
looking
thinking.
at it.
Like you have to look for
find your way.
positivity and try and
Well,
find something that brings you happiness. It's
but
like you
those-
have to put effort into it. It's not just going to come to you.
Right.
Drugs are like the easy like pass. Like, oh, how can I feel good without doing anything to feel good?
But we have to, I think, and it gets so judgmental and opinionated. I think we're on thin ice when we start being so pious about who we are and what we're about, because we're not really all that much different.
No, we're not. Yeah.
And so things like finding other things to do instead of heroin, for example, yeah, that's part of the plan, but that's probably not the first step.
Yeah.
Because it's just not reasonable. It's not possible. So
Well, we're all put on, like, everybody is going through a lot of the same shit, and we like to pretend like, oh, we're better off, we're better than other people, or whatever it is. But I think, like you said, people are really similar. They're just placed in different, like, places in this game of life. Like, some people just start off so far ahead other people because of, like, how their childhood was and how they were raised. Like,
or how much money they have access to,
that's kind
or
of what
opportunity they have access to.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm implying. Like, you can look at life in such a different way, like, because of how you were brought up and what you have access to. And I don't think people realize how much harder it is for some people because they weren't even given the chance to learn, like, some of the things that may seem simple and obvious to other people. They just weren't taught the same way that.
Well, I'll tell you who it is obvious to. It's the people who are living that life. It's real freaking obvious to them because they're the ones having to deal with it, like we all have to deal with to one degree or another.
But, like, some people haven't had, like, a family member that's, like, always working or instilling, like, certain values on how to live to them. So what may seem obvious to one person, like, oh, I should, like, have a job and maybe even two until I can earn, like, some time to myself. Some people haven't been taught that, so that's not, like, second nature to them, that, like, oh, I should work for myself and, oh, I need to earn certain things.
Right. No, what I meant was the experience of that misery is obvious to them.
Oh, yeah, no, it's
Struggle is obvious to them.
yeah.
But in working with folks over the years and just living life, it's such a simplistic thing to say, but it's so true, and it's probably the thing that served me the best in my life, be it at work or outside of work, is, if you talk to people with respect and treat people with respect and dignity, that's not going to solve every problem in the world, but that's a damn good start.
It's a good way to move through life, just not
you-
being shitty.
Have you ever like had someone with like a strange addiction, or like someone who wasn't like addicted to like drugs, or someone who wasn't depressed in that sense, or like say like an insane gambler that was wow,
They're eating drywall
yeah,
or something.
something, you know.
Oh, we that's called pica when you eat something that's a non-food thing.
Like the lady that was eating her pellet shit.
Yeah.
But something bizarre, like not. I mean, like shit is bizarre, but that. I mean, like dry. I don't know. Like I don't.
We had this woman who would eat bleach.
Oh, dude, like
Wouldn't that
like,
kill you?
Yeah, like
Yeah, it messes you up.
I know. I heard a story. I forget where I heard this, but I heard about some guy. They were, like, going to get drug tested together for this job or for probation or something, and it was two friends, and they thought of this plan, like, oh, we'll just drink a tablespoon of bleach or something before the drug test, and that'll clear our systems out.
oh my.
And then one of the friends did it, and one of the friends didn't.
Oh shit.
And the one who did it died, and the one who didn't was like, oh, I need to get sober. But yeah, so how would she eat bleach if it would?
Just little bits of it.
How do you?
What was like?
Was that like
the cornstarch looking
Yeah.
like?
Was it like a crazy day doing laundry that got you into that habit? Like,
It's not as uncommon as you would think.
No dryer sheets, just like
No.
it was just-
We didn't get a lot of that because people don't get hospitalized for that. They usually have to deal with a therapist. So your mom would be someone who would be dealing with
Really?
people like that.
so
you don't.
I
You wouldn't
think my
consider
friend,
that like.
You'd be surprised how hard it is to get admitted into a psychiatric unit.
Yeah, but I don't.
how hard is it? Like, if you say you wanted to be admitted to seek treatment, like, what are some of the barriers that you might have to overcome
Well,
to get treatment?
For example, this used to happen all the time. Not so much anymore, but it used to happen all the time. A person says, I'm going to kill myself. And the doc that's evaluating him says, well, how are you going to do that? And I said, well, I'm going to shoot myself. The doc would say, do you have a gun? No. Well, okay, see ya.
Oh shit. Damn.
So
what if he went and bought a gun? Would that be on the dock then? If he went and bought
No.
a gun and actually killed himself the next day?
not typically. Or I'm going to cut my wrists. Well, have you ever cut your wrist before? No. Okay, bye.
Well, couldn't
In essence, come back after
that's
you.
trying to seek free treatment, right? Like, couldn't you pay to get into?
The criteria is still the same. Now, obviously, if you've got, if you're a cash, well,
So you have to really be suffering and capable of doing something about it.
not just capable, but oftentimes actually doing something. So you have to have made a believable attempt in order to get hospitalized, which is kind of a twisted way of looking at it, but that's often what happens. Hospitals are overcrowded.
So the reason they make it so hard for people to get help is because they don't have enough space to bring in people that don't.
Well, that's a complicated question that doesn't have a simple answer. Economics is part of that. Manipulating the system is part of that. Indifference is part of that.
Say how many people
Insurance
have
is
lied?
part of that. I mean, for example, on the negative side of things, we were talking about opiate addiction. Well, opiate addicts almost never have any money. Well, most addicts almost never have any money. And sometimes they get involved with some, if you got to come up with $300 a day for your habit and you can't hold a regular job and you're not rich, you can connect the dots and you're going to probably be doing something illegal in order to make that money every day. Well, sooner or later, you're going to step on the wrong people's toes and, they're going to want to have a conversation with you that you don't want to have.
So people are hunting you down and you want to hide in the hospital, and
Exactly. Or it's 12 degrees outside, you don't have any money, you don't have a place to stay, and you're in withdrawal. Oh, here's the movie that patients would make. This would happen all the time. They come to the ER, first thing they'd say is, "Oh, I'm suicidal." Well, if there's a big long line of people waiting to see the doctor, then the next thing they would say is, "Oh, and I'm also having chest pain." So if you say you're having chest pain,
you get to skip the line.
you get to skip the line. And then, so they'll do this $1 million workup that might take a day or two in the ER to evaluate the chest pain. And finally, doc says, "No, you're fine. You're free to go." "Oh, I'm suicidal again." So
wouldn't you think that withdrawals that you could see would be a way to get in to get treatment for your drug addiction?
no, they'll say, go. If you're not having symptoms that are life-threatening, they just street you.
This is sad because I think my friend is addicted to the metaverse, and I'm trying to get him. Do you think like a video game addiction that's a whole other thing? But
That's a very addictive thing, video games.
no, but my friend is literally he just got this VR headset, and it's literally a metaverse headset, which no one really knows what that means or the full potential of that yet, because it plays games right now, but I think eventually you'll be able to go live in.
I've heard you can buy houses in the metaverse.
You can buy property and all types of stuff, but
Have people perform.
I don't even know what it means to buy property in the metaverse. Is that a space on the map of this game, or is it something more deep than that?
Who knows? But it's scary because it's such an escape from real people.
Oh, and it's so real, dude. If you put on a VR headset, it would blow your mind.
Yeah.
It feels so crazy. It feels like you're in a video game.
And I'm sure that's
the
fun.
one that he has now. You can walk around and it tracks your movements. You can see
keep from walking into walls.
You kind of do.
In the game, if you get too far out, it'll pop up as a red border.
But there's no way to stop it. You will fucking trip over yourself sometimes or walk into a wall. But yeah, it kind of tells you in game that you're getting close to a wall or getting out of the play area.
I fucking through the controller.
I love technology, but I hate technology too.
I just think the technology that's coming down the line is going to drive people insane. My friend has been playing so much of the metaverse that he woke up and the first thing he saw when he opened his eyes was the home screen of the game. So he felt like he was in the game, and so
You fell asleep with the goggles on?
No, like he didn't fall asleep with the goggles on, but when he woke up, he had been playing so much of the game that he like
Felt he was there in
like
real
it was
life.
like he just thought, like, you know how when you wake up and you're kind of like
Half asleep.
in half a dream state and you're not really sure what's really going on. Well, he thought he was like in a game or something, and was like, I guess, like sleep talking about like, oh, turn off, or like it's just weird. And I think it's only going to get crazier when you can really like feel things. Like we were talking about how you could have like you could watch porn on the VR goggles, and eventually they'll probably have like the chip in your head that links to your like neurons and makes you feel certain things that happen in the game.
That'll cause some addiction.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Like it's crazy. It's
So it gets back to.
But if you do that, then we could fight out. Like we could do hunger. We could like make ourselves feel like
that's where I go with like
we could do like
the chip
pain
and the neurofeedback start making me think about like what those things will be able to do once you like look at them years from now. Like the fact that the chip that Elon Musk is supposedly working on can supposedly like make a paralyzed person like feel again or
walk.
or even be able to walk.
And that is not as unbelievable as it might sound. No, I'm not pretending to understand the science fully on that, but that really is, that's a nuts and bolts kind of thing on a very high sophisticated level. But that's something that, what a great thing that will be. If you had your spinal cord severed and you could have chips and different wiring put in so that you could walk again, oh, sign me up.
Yeah, right.
I'm pretty sure they'll be able to fix blindness too. Like it's
So that kind of stuff is fabulous. You know, the trouble is always the unintended consequences. You know my rap on cell phones.
Yeah, I mean, me and Colin have talked about how, like, once you start getting these chips and they can do these magical things, they could probably make life, like, so much better for a lot of people. But here's the thing. You could have a hacker that knows what they're doing that could probably, like, if the chip can do all these things for your body, like, make you see again, then what could happen if you manipulated the software and started like shutting off functionality of your legs, and you pissed me off in this game, so you're dead. Like,
so integrity never goes out of style.
Yeah, I think that whole project is just gonna end up getting shut down or taken over by the government, because I don't think they're going to let him release something that could possibly lead to people getting hacked and killed. But, I mean...
Well, it's an interesting...
It's an interesting world that we're living in.
Yeah.
Like, one more thing that I wanted to bring up before we close out, because I am a little nervous about the phone tweaking out again. I think we're good right now. But I did want to... I'm thinking, guys, that we might have to throw a little bit of a party at A2K. I still have to talk to people running the store and running the mall, but I had this epiphany. What if we threw this little cookout and chill kind of kickback with some invited strippers at A2K, and that we can all party and have a good time, all sponsored by Scheuneman. And
I think that would be a hell of a thing to do.
they'd be good marketers.
Let people keep their clothes on.
Well, it's think of it like a summer smash. Like, they'll wear swimming suits. Maybe not full nude in the Polaris Mall, but it would be. I think it would be a great time, because that sexy ladies bring men into the store, and then the sexy ladies are good at talking to people. Like, what if just switched out the line from "Hey, do you want to dance?" to "Hey, check out this T-shirt,"
Or we can just name them models and not strippers. And
yeah, they're just bikini models.
yeah.
I just think it would be fun.
Well, yeah.
Well, just have the beanies. Oh,
Well, well, the beanies got pushed down the pipeline. We're working on a drop for our slogan, "Love You," and we've got some things that are getting cooked up right now. But the beanies are probably not till next winter or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, because we talked about it at the pop-up, didn't we, about all that?
Yeah.
Well, I like the idea of some kind of energy to bring some people into A2K to be able to see the brand and see because the clothes are killer.
Yeah.
We need to get people as excited as we are. So I just was just thinking that strippers are pretty exciting.
Well, okay.
But we still got to plan it out.
Yeah.
But
and hey, I was checking out the YouTube, and the music video is blowing up.
yeah, I mean, I think we're at like almost 4,000 views right now, and it's just gonna keep on climbing. But it's been super exciting seeing that flood in, and I had one of my favorite. I don't know what you'd call him. He makes music videos for all kinds of rappers in Ohio. I guess he'd be a videographer, but he's pretty big in Ohio. It's KB Films, and he was liking the post about the music video we made, and that means a lot because he makes some really good music videos, and I've been following his work for a really long time because he started working with like smaller artists, and now I think he did a video with like, I'm gonna get this wrong, but it was like French Montana type level. Like it was, he's working with bigger artists, and
he liked Mount's video.
Yeah, he was liking the Instagram posts, and I'm
Sweet.
I was talking to him a little bit about a possible episode idea, but yeah,
the video was fun.
You gotta get that plan.
Yeah, we just had a huge party in your house, and you got to say hi to a lot of the people there. It
was fun, and people were great. Did we talk about that one part in the video where everybody was dancing in the room with the TV, and the big screen was going back and forth,
was it?
Back and forth, and you can imagine because I'm a freak for that.
That used
TV.
to drive you crazy.
And it's wobbling, and I make eye contact with this guy that was sitting next to it. He just goes like this. He just goes and takes his hand up and stabilizes it. I was like, "Thank you, brother."
Yeah, you were cracking them up, and I think.
But wild party, a lot going on.
The house smelled a little different after.
Yeah, the house smelled a little different. The block smelled a little different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We had to notify the moms in the area and let them know what was going down.
But people were totally respectful to me. Had some great conversations with artists and just people hanging out, and continue to do so. When they would show up at the pop-up, we'd hang and have fun together. So that's important to me.
It's important to me too that people are respecting my family and the space that we are taking up. And
well, it's. I mean, what I take from that is people realize when, everybody's trying to work together to bring everybody up. You're promoting artists, you're promoting a new videographer, you're promoting your brand, and it's one of those rare win-win-win situations where everybody's benefiting from it. It's a great idea that you guys came up with for promotion, but also it's a great idea for the community because you see how excited all those other artists are about wanting to get on brand.
Yeah,
and they should be because it's you're building something with integrity, and it's great. It makes me excited when young people want to spend some time talking to me. That I had a bunch of people talking to me about my art and wanting to know, and it feels good when there's that kind of collaboration going on. That's a positive thing. That's something to build on.
Yeah.
And I just think it's awesome that you guys came up with that and then found people that are of like mind. That's the key part, because it's easy to find people want to take advantage. It's a whole different smoke when you're talking about, yeah, this is good for us, but, we can benefit each other. When they would come to the pop-up and have all that energy and talking to people about the brand and stuff, they don't have to do that.
But it's been a big theme that's gone on with us and the brand, with like making sure that we are helping other people that help us. Like, we make these plans to make sure that everyone is winning in the situation. Like you said, the whole music video thing was just really cool because it is win-win, and we're wanting to like push these artists out and getting them exposure, and we want to see them grow and like blow up from this stuff, and we want that just as much as we want our clothes to be shown good in the video. And like, it was just a really fun day, and that's what we plan on continuing to do, is like helping expose these like crazy artists that we're growing up with and like hanging out with. Like, we just want them to get the exposure that they deserve, and help them out the same way that they help us out, and even just like, they don't even have to help us out. We just want to like help the whole community go up together. Like, we just want this to be like a collaborative kind of thing. But I know we've all got places to be, and this took so much longer than we thought it would, because we've tried to record this episode 90 times.
Tried on try.
Well,
And hopefully it worked this time.
Yeah. Hopefully.
we'll have to have a less stressed out episode, and part 3, if you will, because
it's always lovely having Bob stir up here.
I was thrown off my game just a little bit today, so. But it was still a good time talking to you, and you should definitely come on again. And yeah, we appreciate you being here.
I'm still waiting for that lecture to come, though.
We'll do that in part 3.
Yeah.
Good to be here, guys.
All right. Have a good one. Ciao.
Ciao.
Peace and love. Love you.
Love
blah, blah, blah.
you.